how sequence breaking created Luigi's Mansion's hardest challenge. Luigi's Mansion isn't a game that's known for being difficult. It's a very casual experience, and most encounters aren't really overwhelming. Boolossus as a boss is frustrating, but that's about as difficult as the encounters get. However, one event in the game changes all of this, and that is when the power is knocked out in the building. At that moment, ghosts overrun the entire building, and Luigi can certainly find himself being swarmed by lots of ghosts. But what if I told you that by manipulating the game, we could generate a challenge not meant to be played? At least in the way we'll be playing it. Well, I'm about to show you how to make Luigi's worst nightmare, so I hope you enjoy this bizarre sequence break in Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's hardest challenges aren't always about overcoming the undead. No, sometimes the hardest challenge of all is getting the right trim that you need. Thankfully, Manscaped.com, the sponsor of today's video, is here to back up all you lads. They just sent over my boy the new Performance Package by Manscaped, the world's first all-in-one men's grooming kit that quite literally has you covered from head to toe. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and will give you the trim you need, wherever you need it, reducing cuts and nicks with its skin-safe technology. The package also comes with the Crop Preserver, Crop Reviver, and the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer. No more crying in pain while you trim your snaz. To refine your care, there's also the Shears 2.0 Luxury 6-piece stainless steel nail kit. But if you act now, they're also throwing the Shed travel bag and the Manscaped anti-chafing boxer briefs as an added bonus. So, to trim like a boss, click my link in the description below and use my code SWANKY to get 20% off and free shipping. And a huge thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. So, how about we send Luigi off to battle now that he's feeling slick? By far, my favorite experience within Luigi's Mansion was when the power went off. I love taking on hordes of enemies, and this uptick in difficulty made the mansion feel really cool. You never felt safe, and you could always get overrun by a lot of different enemies. But still, it wasn't anything insane. However, there's an experience on the 3rd floor that is by definition insane. So the very last portrait ghost we go up against in Luigi's Mansion is Vincent van Gogh. This artist has the ability to bring ghosts to life with a stroke of his brush. It's even quite possible that this high-ranking portrait ghost is the reason we run into spirits all over the mansion, as he's able to create them from his magical paint. Now, normally, when we enter this room, it basically kicks off a gauntlet-type event, where we must defeat wave after wave of enemies. Every time we defeat the previous bunch, the next set of ghosts loads in for us to overcome. Rinse and repeat each round. 3 gold ghosts, 3 purple punchers, 3 blue twirlers, 3 ghost guys, 3 grabbing ghosts, 3 garbage can ghosts, and 3 purple bombers. All in all amounting to 7 waves, and a total of 21 ghosts that must be defeated. Now this challenge isn't terribly difficult because it is spaced out, but it's the logic behind this challenge that, when messed with, truly generates something horrifying. The way it works, at least from a general analysis, is that each painting is a trigger that, when activated, spawns the ghosts. Once one group of ghosts is defeated, the sequence is advanced so that the next switch essentially is hit. Now, when you start fighting Vincent van Gogh, the room locks so you can't leave. But, as some of you may have seen in previous videos, I like to make Luigi a ghost myself who can go anywhere at any time. And that's how I found out the effects of this sequence break. Because I essentially got to the end of the Vincent van Gogh fight, and I wanted to see what would happen if I attempted to pull Vincent van Gogh out of his room. Because the walls didn't affect me, in theory, I thought that once he was being vacuumed, I could pull him out of his art studio and basically glitch him out. However, this wasn't the case. He simply disappeared when I did this. Now, when players leave a room in Luigi's Mansion, the room essentially can reset, especially in portrait ghost encounters. But what I did not account for was the room partially resetting, because all 7 switches never reset. However, the ghosts did. So when I stepped back into this room, after disrupting the sequence of events, I found myself in a monster house where 21 ghosts all spawned at once and were after Luigi's blood. And this made for a very interesting experience. Now, there's essentially so much going on in this room that things are constantly happening to Luigi. He's either getting grabbed, punched, burned, shocked, stabbed, slipping on bananas, or all of these things at once. Just take a listen at how chaotic all of this is. The ghosts in the room tend to camp the top half of the room due to them spawning near the paintings, but every time they appear, Luigi begins his startle animation. This can make it so that the ghosts tend to vanish as soon as they're hit by the flashlight due to Luigi getting spooked. And while enemies camp the north side of the room, the Shy Guys come straight for you and are immune to your light. All in all, it's a very bizarre experience. And honestly, I thought it was going to be extremely difficult, but it actually isn't too bad. Sure, it's harder than most situations in the game, but all of the conflicting game logic tends to make Luigi dodge a lot of damage. Like if you slip on a banana peel but get scared before hitting the ground, the animation will cancel and you won't get hurt. All these overlapping effects cause Luigi to dodge damage pretty often. And when you do take damage, by the time you defeat a few ghosts, they'll spawn hearts for you to restore your health. If anything, the challenge becomes more difficult as you thin out the amount of enemies, since Luigi tends to take more damage when less ghosts are around. The garbage can ghosts and the purple bombers will generally be left alive the longest due to how they function and how they escape attacks themselves due to the ghosts in front of them. The first time I attempted this challenge, I did die, although I was messing around a bit too. The second time, I was able to clear it. I did discover something pretty neat though after beating the 21 Ghosts challenge. If you defeat Vincent Van Gogh but cause him to unload while he's being defeated, then you'll be rewarded with the key from his painting, but he'll still be alive. He won't do anything anymore. But I thought this was a pretty neat discovery. So, all in all, if the ghosts in this room didn't yield a ton of hearts, this challenge would be a lot more difficult. But regardless, I still had a blast tackling it and sharing the discovery with all of you. And until my next video, cheers!